Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. Let me just share this real quick. If you're joining the live stream, let me know how you're doing in the chat. Let me know how the audio is before we start with the stories. Yeah, that would be important. Let me know if the volume is too low, if you need me to fix it or anything. I think I'm gonna move my mic. Where was the... And if you all can share the live stream, would be greatly appreciated right now. Let me try to do it this way. Just give me 2 more seconds and I will be getting into these stories right now for you all. I see some people joining the chat. Give me 1 second. I'll read your comments. Just do one more thing. As you all know, one-man band out here, doing it all behind the scenes. All right. All right, so we have some regulars in the chat right now. I see We're Pilgrim. How you doing? I see Terry Connolly in the chat. Thank you for showing up to the live stream. All right, without further ado, I think we're going to get into it. I don't know how many others are gonna join us. This wasn't really announced, but all right, so we have 2 stories that we're gonna get into. Might stick around and talk to you all in the chat for a little bit. Depends on a couple different things. So the first story we're going to talk about is having to do with inflation, the rising cost of living. I mean, it's really insane to see how, like, the price of everything is going up, and we're just watching them jack up the prices right in front of our eyes. And it's not as complicated and mysterious as it might be, and like some people, or as some people might try to make it seem. It really is just corporations jacking up prices on poor people, on regular people, because 1, they know that you have to pay, and 2, they know the government isn't going to do anything to check them. So that's the first story we're going to get into. This And then the next one is the big story of the day. Joe Biden, and I say the big story because that's what is getting the most attention at the moment. Joe Biden, Joe Biden announced that he's going to release, or I don't want to say cancel. I think debt relief is more accurate, but in typical neoliberal fashion, with a bunch of means testing and hoops to jump through, forms to fill out, all that other stuff, Biden decided to cancel $10,000 in outstanding student loan debt. So I'm going to get into that, and I have a much different take than a lot of people talking about this right now. So I'm going to ask one more time if there's any audio issues or if you need me to turn the mic up. Let me know now. I'll be looking out for that in the chat. Otherwise, I'll be starting the first story. And if you all can contribute to the show, I'd greatly appreciate it. There are links to Patreon, GoFundMe, PayPal, Cash App, all of those in the description box. Cash App's also pinned in the live chat. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm sure most of the people in my audience, regular working people in my audience, if you've been to the grocery store lately, you know that something just is not right. The cost of everything really has gone up dramatically. But when it comes to food, it's one of the most hard hitting because you literally need it to survive. There is no, of course you can skip meals, but that's not how anybody should live, and that's not how anybody wants to live. Food is something that everybody needs to buy to survive. Food, electricity, gas, and things like that. These are necessities. So when the price is just going up completely out of control and at historic rates on, like I said, necessities like food, it is hard to miss. And I remember like when we were in the thick of it with COVID, a lot of the increase in the price, they were trying to spin it as, oh, it's the supply chain issues. We have no control over it, man. This is what happens with a pandemic. And that narrative wore very thin very quickly. Because it seemed like, and it was later proven, that corporations are just raising prices so that they can make more money. And sure, were there supply chain issues that made it difficult to get certain products, items? Yes, definitely. But that wasn't enough to justify what we were seeing with the prices. I have a graphic for you. This is from Bloomberg News. And they wrote an article about inflation and how much the price of food has increased just compared to last year. And so I'm going to show you that graphic. And they use data from, I think it's the Department of Labor and Statistics. And this is what they did was look at what's called the Consumer Price Index. So every year or every quarter, economists, they have this thing that's called this basket of goods, like everyday necessities, that people have to buy. And they have these same items. They basically like do an imaginary like grocery trip, and they calculate what the price would be if you buy these same items this quarter, next quarter, this year, next year, and they compare prices like that to. That's how they judge increases in consumer goods and food and stuff like that. And I started the segment mentioning the narrative around the supply chain, because if you were to ask regular people what is the cause of the this increase in price, they would probably, one of their first guesses would be the supply chain, because that's just what they keep hearing about. But like I said, this data is showing an increase in the price from last year to this year. And we're looking at historic prices. That we're looking at historic prices and historic price increases that are not justified by any sort of supply chain issue, especially considering last year things were getting back to normal, and whatever magical supply chain issues that were running the economy, they were being fixed in the moment. So we should not be seeing increases like this if what was driving prices was actually supply chain issues, and not being able to unload shipment and things like that. So let me show you the graphic. All right. So if you look at the first item, so cereal, it goes. Let me just explain how the chart is laid out. So you have the category of the food. The next to that, you have the annual increase. So what's the percentage that the food in that category increased from this time last year to right now. And then right next to that, you have this column right here, and it says the largest since. So it'd be basically the largest increase in that category since whenever the data is there. So let me start with the first category, cereal, and this is one of the biggest categories of increase just from over last year. 16.6% increase in the price of cereal from last year to this time this year to right now. This is the largest increase ever. Eggs, 38% increase in the price of eggs, and this is something that I noticed myself, because many people who've watched the show for a while, you know that I was homeless. I wasn't really able to cook for a little while, and I cook all the time, and I use eggs a lot. And so when I started cooking again, and I went to the store, like doing buying the regular things that I would buy at the store, like eggs, I'm over here looking at the prices like, God damn. And yes, the price of eggs have increased 38% since last year. Let me see another big one that I wanted to. Baby food. Baby food has increased 15%. Biggest increase ever. So I just wanted to show you all that list, because, and of course, many of you, like I mentioned, you go into the grocery store and you're seeing these increases every week. So you know what I'm talking about. I just wanted to have the numbers there to provide some context, some scale to you, So just so that you know you're not crazy when you go to the grocery store and you say this shit wasn't even this price a month ago, 2 months ago, damn near definitely not last year. It's gone up considerably since then, and you're not crazy. And so the next point that I want to talk about is what is driving this price increase in food, because this has a real impact in regular people's lives. Like, people are already living paycheck to paycheck. People are already living in wage slavery here in the United States, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. People doing that, no days off, no vacation days, working 2-3 jobs. It's already, living standards in this country are already bad. So then when you add into the mix, the price of food is just astronomical. That puts a real squeeze on people, and it makes it hard to just exist. So it is important to realize or to understand what's driving this cost, so we know what the problem is and who to blame, and hopefully come up with a plan on how to fix it. So, like I said, a lot of people try to, I don't know, I wouldn't say, there's a lot of unnecessary confusion around this, and some people try to add in a bunch of shit, like I said, I was just saying this over so it's a supply chain, it's actually inflation. Oh, the government spending is causing this inflation, and that's why prices are going up. So they spent some money allegedly on people, and they really didn't. It was just another giant corporate bailout. But people trying to say, oh, they spent some money on people during COVID, and that's the reason why prices are going through the roof, and all these other things. And it's just, it makes it just really unnecessary. And when the root of the problem, the source of the problem, is staring everybody in the face, and it feels like nobody wants to admit it. The reason why the prices are this high, it's not an act of God. It's not because some magical inflation fairy came around and said, okay, the government gave people a $1,200 check, now let me raise the price of eggs 38%. Like, that's not what happened. Plain and simple, corporations are charging more for the product. People are paying more, and the executives are running out the back door with all the money. So it's really just them doing what they're doing and trying to increase corporate profits. That's really what all of this comes down to. And let me show you the next graphic that explains this, or not, but just gives you some important context. So this is from an article in Forbes that was highlighting how corporate profits was really driving the increase in the price of food. So Tyson, one of the quote big four meat and poultry conglomerates, who's and this is me reading from them. This is just really statistics that they gathered and put in this article. That's the only reason I'm really showing it to you. But it says Tyson, one of the big four meat and poultry conglomerates, whose price increases have been scrutinized by the Biden administration, posted over $1 billion in corporate profit in the first quarter of 2022, up 48% from previous year. So $1 billion in profit Tyson produced in just the first quarter of this year, up 48% from last year. Gee, I wonder, why could it be the price of meat is through the fucking roof. Could it be one of the largest producers and meat packers in the country is driving up prices and putting more money in their pocket? Could that possibly be? No, it has to be the $1,200 checks from 2020. Or it has to be, that's what's causing the inflation. It has to be some supply chain issue from 2 years ago. That's the reason why we're seeing historic increases in price. It can't be that they're seeing historic profits and that's what's driving the increase in prices. No. Because here in the United States, corporate power and corporate corporations taking advantage of people. Even though Occam's razor shows that's usually what the problem is, the overwhelming majority of the time, people just, we're not allowed to acknowledge that here in the United States. It always has to be everything else, including just individual responsibility. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you can't afford to pay for 2 times as much for you as you on your grocery trip as you did 2 years ago, well, that's on you, buddy. That's on you. And there was something else in this graphic that I wanted to share with you. Oh, so this one's about Amazon. Amazon increased net income by $12 billion and allocated $10 billion to stock buybacks. So that was from 2021. So Amazon, and I mentioned Amazon because a lot of people buy their groceries have them online through Amazon and have them delivered. So they're relevant in this conversation. And look what they did with the money. They're seeing record profits too, $12 billion in profits. And what they do with $10 billion of it? They used it to buy back stocks for the company and increase basically the pay for executives and the stockholders, the shareholders. So, and by the way, this has been mentioned before, but really corporate profits are really stolen wages. So these are wages that the workers owned, or this is money and revenue that the workers created working in these Amazon warehouses, but it's going to the executives. And in this giant scam to increase the amount of money that they're making, they took the $10 billion and used it to buy that back their own stocks, which just inflates the price of their stocks. Because, it looks like, oh wow, so people they have so much faith in Amazon that they bought millions of shares or thousands of shares. And so obviously the company must be doing good. And so every corporation does this. They do these stock buybacks, which used to be illegal until the corrupt politicians that they bought legalized it for this purpose. So it's just a scheme for them to recycle the money that they're stealing from you to multiply their earnings, to multiply the money that's in their pocket. That's what Amazon is doing with their record. When they're doing these record price increases, it's so that they can put even more money in their pocket. It's not because the price of goods are so expensive that they just have to cover the loss so that they can keep selling it to you. That is a lie. Anybody who is pushing that right now is telling you a lie. The reason why food is so expensive is because they're taking advantage of you, and they know the government is going to do anything about it because they bought and they own the government. And so I don't know how much worse this economic situation can get, because like I said, pre-pandemic, people were already on the edge. People were already living on the edge, paycheck to paycheck, barely a couple $100s for an emergency, no health care. People were already on the edge. And shit is getting worse. It seems to be getting worse exponentially. Because this whole segment, we're sitting here talking about the unprecedented increase in price of food, right? That's not the only thing people are dealing with at the moment. We're also dealing with unprecedented historic prices for gas, unprecedented historic increases in prices for rent. Orlando, nearest major city to me. The price of rent increase, watch this, 25%? 25%. Not over 10 years. Since last year. So that's like your landlord coming up to you. Yes, your lease is up in January, whatever. It's like your landlord coming up to you in December. Yeah, so we're going to increase the rent for absolutely no discernible reason, and we're going to increase it by 25%. That's what they were doing. That's how much rent increased in Orlando. People are dealing with that. People are dealing with the food prices. People are dealing with the gas prices. All while wages aren't going up. How much more are people supposed to take? How much more are people supposed to take? And it's not like the government can't do anything about it. If they wanted to, this will always be a solution that I have to economic situations, economic problems and crises in the country. Because I've seen them do it already, so I know they damn sure can do it again. Okay, they gave everybody the $1,200 check. Why not cut people more stimulus checks? Why not? This price increase, it is not natural. This isn't of the consumers doing. They're not being reckless and don't know how to handle their money. It's corporations taking advantage of American citizens. And the government is supposed to step in to regulate that shit and get that shit under control. So we should be pressuring the government to do that and to provide relief at the same time. To cap these prices, to put a limit on these prices, and to subsidize them for regular people who can't afford this shit anymore. Because they'll subsidize big oil. They'll subsidize the shit out of big pharma. They'll dump billions and billions of dollars into corporations to make sure that they will always stay afloat. What did they do during COVID? They promised they would dump $1 trillion a day into the stock market to make sure that companies didn't crash. So they need to be doing that. They need to have that type of urgency and investment into the American people, because these are unprecedented times. Unprecedented times with the price of food and everything else in this country. This is unlivable. All right, let me see what's going on in the chat. Ashore said, "Did you see Ayanna gaslighting people as if Joe Biden forgave all student loans? That Jada Pinkett Smith in office got called out. I did see that. Of course, they're bullshitting you to sell you some bullshit for the Democratic establishment. That is literally all these progressives are there to do at this point. I might touch on that when I get into this segment about the student loan debt. But of course, no surprise that they're coming out and polishing Biden's knob over that. Zanitu, long time no see. Glad to see you're still alive. Glad to see you're still alive and you've made it into a live stream. Like you said, it's been a while. Ashore says in Canada things have gone up by $1 or $1.50. Yeah, it's really. I remember like the dollar store. So I don't know where you all live, but poor people in the South, rough people in the South, go to the dollar store a lot. There's a lot of dollar stores everywhere you turn. They've increased the price from $1 to $1.25 on a lot of the basically everything in the store. That's a 25% increase, and they did that shit overnight. And it sounds small. Oh, it's just a quarter. But if you're going there on a budget and something used to be $1, now it's $1.25. That's and everything in the stores like that. That's noticeable. That is fucking noticeable. Zani, to see your comments about us giving a meal or two. Maybe inflation is a secret weapon. The elites to help with the obesity epidemic. They sure as hell aren't going to give us healthcare to deal with it, right? Yeah. All of this was just it's part of a grand plan to make sure that Americans are healthy. That's what they really do it. ACAB says all cops are bastards. Says saw a bottle of hot sauce jump from 217 to 275 to 799. You know what's I always used to think about this like when it came to gas, but now it's just really with everything else that you have to buy. I used to think like, God damn, there's people around paying. I always used to think this from whenever I started driving and paying for gas. But like, say gas $3, something like that. I'm like, damn, there's people alive right now gotta go to the gas station and pay $3, $3.50, whatever the fuck it is for gas. And however long ago, they used to actually have to pay like, it would be outrageous to pay $1 for gas. People pay like 70 cents a gallon for gas, 80 cents a gallon, or something like that. It's just crazy to see the way that there's no relief, right? It just this is the way it is, and they condition people to just accept this shit. Oh, the price of whatever has increased 40%. The instinct for Americans isn't, yo, this shit is crazy and I'm not having it, and I'm going to the street, I'm gonna fuck shit up until somebody addresses this, until somebody does something, until the government does their job and does something about this. That's not the instinct for Americans. It's just like, okay, how are we gonna make this work this time? Oh, they increased rent 25%. I'm not going to engage in direct action with my community and draw a line in the sand and say, you're out of your fucking mind if you think any of us are paying a 25% increase in rent. That's not, it's always very individualistic, and how am I going to get out of this jam this time? And that's really, it's just like a hamster wheel of that's how people live, just moving from one fucking calamity to the next. Or if I have to work another job, if I have to add more hours, and so be it. If I'm only going to sleep 2 hours a night and the rest of my waking existence is out prostituting myself for money, then that's just the way it's going to be. J.O. Towners has been eating just one meal a day, OMAD diet, and feel better than I have in years. If everyone goes OMAD, big ag is screwed. Look, some people, and it depends where you are in your life, how active you are, and what you're eating in that one meal, how big is that one meal. Yes, that can work for some people, but I don't think that's what this is. And it's one thing if you make the choice, oh, I'm gonna go on a diet because you said it's healthier for you, is better for you. It's different when, oh, you have a family and it's like, okay, now I can't afford as much food, so now we're going to eat less because I literally don't have the money to buy more food. That is completely different, and nobody should live like that. Jay O'Towner says, I'm near downtown Orlando. Average one bedroom is $1,700. Like, that is fucking crazy. That is fucking crazy. Like, we're reaching New York, California levels of outrageous housing prices here in Florida. That's where we're at. And the worst part is, I wouldn't say they have the income to match those crazy rental prices, but at least their income is on a completely different scale. So if somebody's paying $3,000 a month in New York for an apartment, they're probably gonna, or if they're paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in New York, they're probably making a lot more than somebody who's working in Florida. But now we're getting to the point where our prices are like reaching New York, but the income is nowhere near that. Chopper Girl says, no rent and plenty of rice, sitting pretty. I learned how to live like a dandelion weed between the cracks when the computer industry tanked in 2000. That is a way to go about it. Like I said, people just, all right, how do I make it out of this one? And you learn to adjust. So I'm glad, it seems like you figured something out. Jay O'Towner says everything is cheaper at Costco. More ethical corporation need to band together and split purchases there. That would be a very good idea because it is cheaper, but it's cheaper at a scale. Most, like myself, I damn sure couldn't afford to like go buy everything in fucking bulk at Costco. Bitch, I buy one thing. I buy one thing in bulk at Costco. It's like a damn near a whole grocery trip. So I see what you're saying, and that is actually a very good idea to band together to split the purchase. Jay Turner, I'm not like saying that it has to be like 3 meals a day. I know myself, I can do that for a while, just eat one time a day. But that's, I don't know. Maybe we'd have to have a longer discussion about that. But the point that I was making in this video is people can't afford to, like, they're eating less because they can't afford to, or they're making worse food choices because they can't afford to. And that's one thing if you're eating one meal and it's a good meal. But if you're eating shitty food because that's all you can afford, might not be as that one meal might not be as beneficial. All right, so let me get into actually, and I want to say before I get into the next story, I really love the conversation that's been going on in the live chat. Very productive. I love it. Like I always appreciate my audience, but coming back, it's been a little slower in the live chat. Still always to have great questions, great comments, great conversation. But I'm seeing a lot of people get involved and adding to the conversation, and I appreciate that. ACAP says join a mutual aid network to start your own, or join a mutual aid network or start your own. Most libraries should have services like these. Yes, I think that's a great idea. Of course, we're big on mutual aid over here. Big on that. Any energy you have, if you want to make a change, I'm 1000% telling people do not, do not donate to a politician. Do not go out and volunteer for a politician and put your blood, sweat, and tears and energy into getting somebody elected and securing their retirement. Do not do that. If you want to help people, join mutual aid and help your own community. All of those whatever resources you were going to put towards electoral politics would do make a world of difference in somebody's life. And you know, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to throw this money at a politician and fingers crossed he helps some poor people in my community. Like, no, you know you're helping people, guaranteed. So that is definitely the best way to go about it, to invest your time and your money and your resources. All right, so before I get into the next story, I see somebody actually sent something on Streamlabs. Jao Wu, tip $10. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. Glad to see you streaming tonight. Wish you the best, bro. Appreciate that. Thank you for donating on Streamlabs. Anybody else wants to contribute? The links to Streamlabs are in the in the description box. The links to Patreon, PayPal, GoFundMe, Cash App is all in the description box, and Cash App is pinned in the live chat. So let me get into this next story: Joe Biden and the student debt relief. So back during the 2020 campaign, it was always so bizarre to me watching people like deify this brand new Joe Biden that showed up on the campaign trail in 2020 and taking his campaign rhetoric as if it's gospel and, you know, acting like he's this brand new politician and he's saying these things and let's judge him strictly by what he's saying on during this campaign with absolutely no context of how he's contributed to said problem during his entire career. One of the areas where that just I couldn't wrap my mind around, like the cognitive dissonance, was when it came to the student loan crisis, the student debt crisis. Because, you know, he's going around and people talking about, oh, he's saying $10,000 of student debt cancellation, $20,000, $50,000. Oh, we're going to mean test it. So, and there was all this back and forth about what he was saying and all this shit. And me, I'm just sitting here like, first of all, Joe Biden was the one who started this fire. So the idea that we would have him, you know, look to him to fix it is just bizarre to me. He's the one who started the fire. It wasn't because, oh, he slipped and fell and what do you know, I made it harder for you to cancel your student loan debts. No, he did it on purpose because he's corrupt. And he made the calculation that he was going to sell you out, sell poor people out, sell the working class people out. People were trying to get an education to better themselves and better their living situation. He made the conscious decision, I'm going to fuck them over at the behest of my corporate donors. He made that decision decades ago, and we're living with the consequences of that decision and his policy choices to this day with mountains and mountains of student loan debt, over $1 trillion in collective student loan debt. The interest on these debts are just out of control. People, and they will literally have you in debt your entire life. your entire life. And again, these are just, things that occur in nature, student loans and the interest accrued and the making it impossible to discharge it. Like, that's not shit that occurred in nature. Somebody had to deliberately put those things into law and craft this system this way that targets and victimizes students. Somebody had to do that, and that somebody was Joe Biden, like I said, working on behalf of his corporate donors, the financial institutions and the big banks who make money from these loans. And this entire problem, because student loan debts, there was no student loan debt crisis before Joe Biden. We could have a whole other conversation about colleges and the elitism and how they left people out way before the student loan debt crisis. But before, it was either you had the money to go to college or you didn't. And in I forget the name of the legislation, but part of it was in the bankruptcy bill, but there was also another other legislation that Joe Biden helped pass, where basically they made it. There was a conspiracy, if you will, among the financial institutions and the corrupt politicians to make it exponentially easier for anybody to get access to these student loans. And on its face, well, let me just preface this. There shouldn't be student loans. There shouldn't be any going into debt thousands of dollars so you can get an education, because it should be viewed as education from kindergarten up to high school. It shouldn't be a thing that you're punished for in a functioning society. So let's get that clear, right? But here we live in this capitalist hellhole, right? And people tell you have to get an education, get ahead, and yada, yada, yada. And so they say, let's make it so that this is how they sold it to the public. Let's make it so that more people can get access to this education by allowing them to get these loans, which end up being predatory, which I'll get to in a second. And so that's how they sold it, but the intent behind it was malicious to begin with and predatory to begin with, because they wrote in these interest rates. So they know what these interest rates were going to do. And then on top of that, they made it so deliberately, like I said, this didn't just occur in nature, deliberately made it so that you can't get rid of this no matter what. So do you really think they were trying to help all those poor people? Or do you think that they were just trying to get a bunch of people in debt to bankroll these financial institutions? That's exactly what happened, because these loans and these loan packages, these are huge assets to the bank, because it looks like, oh, you have whatever, $10 billion in student loan packages. Oh, this is all money that's supposed to be coming into you. And then you add it coming into your bank or your financial institution. And then you add in all the interest. You're making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of this. So it looks good to these banks to have all these student loans. It's good for their business. It gets them more loans and whatever access to more money that they would want. So it's good for them to have all these people in debt with these loans, these students to go to college, right? And they, like I said, it's malicious because they made sure no matter what, you can't get rid of it. So here we are today. Joe Biden says, oh, we're going to, for And of course, had to with the neoliberal means testing and the fucking gotta jump through burning hoops and fill out these forms and all this just so you could get your measly government assistance. So up to $10,000 in student loans there is going to be forgiven for anybody who's in a household. If you're in a household with a single income of $125,000 or less, or $250,000 for a 2-income family or less, you get $10,000 of your student loan forgiven. Anybody outside of those parameters apparently can go kick rocks. So it's just, I'm seeing people like having conversations about basically how big a parade we should throw for Joe Biden because he did this fucking pathetic, insulting student loan debt forgiveness or relief for some people if you qualify and if you fill out the form. And it's just, this whole conversation seems silly to me because, one, like I said, you started the fire. This whole crisis was of your doing. You manufactured this crisis. And so if, knowing that, say Joe Biden did up and completely wipe the student loan debt slate clear and got rid of the $1 trillion in outstanding student loan debt. Even if he did that, we still wouldn't be even. You would still be at a net negative for me in terms of your contribution to this problem. Because, like I said, you started this whole thing. So if you got it all the way down to zero, that's, you know, who still end up being fucked by that? All the people who already paid back their loans. And this isn't an argument against forgiving everybody else's because some other people have to pay. But I'm saying that is still, those people aren't completely unaffected because those are investments that they could have made in their family, whatever it could have been, childcare, a better home, another source of income. For all the people who paid back those loans, they'd be fucked. They'd be fucked out of the opportunity that they would have had if Joe Biden didn't prey on you for his corporate donors. All the people who ended up dying with mountains of student loan debt and watching it fucking multiply, having all the people who had their wages garnished and had the government just come in and take money out of your paycheck, percentage out of your paycheck to go back to these unpayable loans with the interest just multiplying on that bitch. So there's no end in sight. There's no relief in sight. All those people who end up dying with those student loans and their lives permanently impacted because of Joe Biden. So the point I'm trying to make is, if he wiped the completely, I still wouldn't give him credit. I still wouldn't even throw him a small parade because, like I said, you manufactured this entire fucking crisis. But he didn't even do that. Like I said, he means tested it. So right off the bat, there's a bunch of people, millions of people with student loan debts not qualified for this already. And then it's not automatic even for the people who do fit in the parameters, these completely manufactured parameters. It's not even automatic. You have to fill out a form and do this whole process with the government. This whole tango with the government is back and forth to prove that you fit into the parameters. So that's even millions more people who said, fuck it, I'm not even going to deal with that shit. Because you have to go through a process to even get the student relief because it's not automatic. So the more I think about it, the more it just pisses me off because we know this whole thing could be done. It could have been done day one. This whole manufactured crisis, it could have been done and away with from day one. Joe Biden could have canceled $1 trillion of student loan debt when he came in office, he didn't do that. Still hasn't done that. And so you have to ask, what's the why are they really doing this? Because the purpose can't be, oh, Joe Biden really has a soft spot for these student loan borrowers who he, again, I keep repeating it because it's relevant context, who he fucked over in the first place as the senator from MBNA, as he was called, notorious for being in the pocket of financial institutions. It's not that he has this soft spot for people whose lives he's ruined. That's why he's forgiving this debt. Because if that's what it is, then why not forgive it, all of it? Why are some people worthy of this forgiveness and not all of it? So that's clearly not what's driving this decision here. To me, there's only two possible, or maybe three, depending how you want to split it. But one is for political gain. He thinks, oh, right now, if I cancel this debt, there's going to be a political upside for me obviously in the upcoming election in a couple months. So again, this has nothing to do with helping people. And two, this similar, it's a political distraction from all the other fuck ups and all the other nefarious and shitty things that the Biden administration is doing. Now they have something to, have all the cheerleaders go out and wave the banner. Oh, the Biden's doing something for people. Look at this student loan debt relief. Don't pay attention to us dumping $60 billion into this war with a nuclear armed conflict that we provoked. Don't look over there. And we're trying to do the same thing in China, but don't look over there. And the U.S. and Syria are still bombing the shit out of Palestinians, defenseless Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. But let's not talk about that. And we authorized some more illegal airstrikes in Syria this week. But let's not talk about that either. On the same day, actually, but let's not talk about that either. So, again, this comes off as just a political distraction. And the third, which seems also very likely and incredibly nefarious, is they're doing this with the added means testing to stir up all this. For one, it could be four different ways if you depending on how you split it, for why they could have done this. One is that and another one is that they really want to resume these student loan debt payments, right? They really want to do that. Joe Biden has been dragging his fucking feet. He keeps saying, oh, no, this time, I swear to God, we're going to resume these payments, and all of you are going to start paying these goddamn student loans back immediately. He's been, but he knows that shit's not going to slide, so he keeps pushing it back, get closer to the midterms, he keeps pushing it back. So now it seems like they were like, all right, people are going to be, you all have had an unprecedented 2-year break in student loan payments, and it's every day that goes by and people aren't paying these loans back, it's becoming incredibly clear that this is just some made up fucking scam to keep our heads in your pockets. So in order to have this thing have any layer of legitimacy, we're gonna have to do this real quick and start this up real quick and have people just start making these payments and stop thinking, and so that they don't even think about it anymore. So in order to do that and face slightly less backlash, they had to cancel some people's debts and resume it for the rest of them. So I really think that's what it comes down to for why they decided to relieve some of the student loan debt, just so that they can continue this grotesque process of ruining people's lives with these loans and with this unpayable interest. They are going to keep fucking over those people who have student loan debt right now, and all those other people who are going to take those loans out in the future. Because if they were to really wipe the student loan debt clean, there's no justification for ever having anybody go through this shit again. So they are really just trying to balance away how they can keep this predatory, malicious system going to ruin even more lives. And they made a calculated, and they made this calculation that, okay, we'll throw them some scraps, we'll throw them some crumbs so that we can keep the boot on their neck ultimately for indefinitely. That's what it really what it looks like. And it just shows, again, how our government is just incredibly hostile to its citizens, and its roles are completely reversed. Instead of a government acting as a apparatus to protect and serve the public, they use the public as their whipping boy, and who they really are protecting and serving is corporations. And the only time they will ever do anything to benefit you is if in the long run the calculation is they can fuck you over 10 times worse because they gave you the scraps. So the whole thing just pisses me off. And I'm not going to have this debate over should we throw Joe Biden a small parade or a big parade. Is this better than nothing or not? I'm not having that debate because this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And this is a problem you completely made up and doesn't exist elsewhere. So, yeah, I'm not giving him a little bit of credit. I'm not giving him some credit. I'm not giving him a shred of fucking credit on this. And for all the reasons that I stated already. Let me see what's happening in the chat. ACAP says, already seen the bootlickers on Reddit and Twitter praising him. Yeah. Jal Rule says, glad you're still in the chat. Jal Rule says, Kyle Kuklinski says, stop giving Biden shit for the best things he does. Yeah, fuck that. Because like I said, you started the fire. You don't get credit when you come out. Imagine you setting an apartment building on fire, right? And then you come out and say, all right, I'm going to put out the fire in about 30% of these units, but everybody else, you can get fucked. And then when they go and build another apartment building off of these remains, I'm going to come and set that shit up on fire just indefinitely for the next generation and the generation after that. And then you imagine somebody have the audacity to come out here and tell me I need to give this man some credit because he saved 30% of the buildings or units in the first building. Are you fucking crazy? Are you crazy? ACAP says, yep, 94 crime bill, wrote the Patriot Act, voted for the Iraq War, even though everyone knew it was going to be a quagmire like Vietnam, turned Delaware into tax haven for corporations, sexually assaulted multiple women, Yemen too. Dementia says, get real on the fact that education in the U.S. has become just another racket. I'm trying to figure out what I said that didn't. I mean, look, I'm very well aware that education is a giant fucking racket in the United States. I'm the y'all know I'm an abolitionist. I say abolish the police. I say abolish the FBI. I say abolish the Homeland Security. When things don't make sense, I say abolish it. And I'm damn near at abolish the education system in the US because this whole thing is just one gross system that it's like the entire purpose of it is not to educate people. It's not to make people better, more informed, or better thinkers. It is literally just to uphold capitalism. And when it comes to the student loan debts, that is just like the height of it. We're going to make people go into tens of thousands of debt, $1,000 of debt, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for education. And we're going to continue to multiply the price for college like every fucking year, and nobody's going to do anything. And the education isn't getting better. In fact, some people might say it's even getting worse. So I'm very much aware that it's a racket at this point. But that being said, people make the decision to go. Some people make the decision to go to college to better themselves, to better their lives, and I don't think you should go into debt for the rest of your life because of that. Ja Rule says, I said Ja Rule. Jal Wu says, the empire is desperate to search for people to exploit. The history goal are, the historic go-tos are no longer vulnerable, so capitalists are looking inward. Yeah. And there's an argument to be made. What we do abroad, we will do at home eventually, and the exploitation of the U.S. citizens is just off the fucking chain. It's like I said, it's like the corporations in our government, the oligarchy. It's like they really are hostile occupiers of the country, and they don't give a fuck about the citizens at all. Like their entire existence is to just extract wealth and resources from the country. That's really what our corporate oligarchy functions, how it functions right now. ACAP says the way most people learn about money is incorrect. It was originally created because soldiers during and after conquest wanted goods and services from people that hated them. That is interesting. Richard, okay, I see your comments. I'm gonna have to. Oh, ACAP, this was a continuation of your comments. It may be basing the entirety of society around this might not be the best idea. Oh, and you're right about that. And I definitely think we should be focusing on how to make society better. Like, that should be the goal for everything. How does this improve people's lives? How does this improve us as a collective. But literally everything is, okay, how do we make the most possible money off of it? And that is, as proven by how shit is in this country, that is the worst way to run a society. Richard Simmons, I didn't ban you from the channel or anything like that. I just timed you out because you were like literally spamming the shit out of the live chat, and I couldn't see anything else except for that same message you were putting. So I just put you in a timeout. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure I can take you out of it. Okay, see now, I just took you out of the timeout, and then you have like a spam account. I don't know who you are, or like what's going on here, but please don't spam the chat. That does not help. But anyway, I am done with the two stories. Unless anybody has anything else to add. Yeah, Richard, I'm gonna have to time that. Put you in timeout on this account too. You're not banned. I'm pretty sure the next time you can comment, but you ODing right now with the spam. Ja Wolf says Americans will kill each other over French fries and just roll over it, get fleeced by big insurance, big pharma. I honestly, it's. This is a conversation for another day because I could get worked up about this, and then there's a lot that I want to say, but I think a lot of it has been what we've been conditioned at. Two things: people have been conditioned not to ask the government for anything because, for whatever reason, and they've also been conditioned that even when you do protest the government, it's not effective. And I just think that comes from a complete lack of historical analysis on the dynamic of power that people have, that the people are supposed to have against the government. And they just aren't aware of how antagonistic a portion of the population has to be towards the government in order to get any change. And I think that more people should know about how adversarial other citizens are with their government, like in France, for example. But I'm going to end the chat here, or end the live stream here. Thank you all for contributing. Comments, likes, all of those things, I appreciate it. If you could contribute to the show, so I can make more content for you all. Patreon, GoFundMe, PayPal, all in the description box of this video. And Cash App is pinned in the live chat. And I'll be uploading separate segments from this live chat too. So thank you all. And I will see you next time.